What is up, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be going over another Hiya Top 10 Godzilla Figures wish list. This differs from the other wish list that I did because this is a Showa era Godzilla wish list of figures I hope that Hiya would do for their Godzilla line. I don't know if they're going to be doing Showa. This is just for fun, really. If I miss out on any on this list that you are wanting to see, definitely let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear what other people are interested in seeing. So yeah, let's get into it. This is in no real particular order. This is just like ones that I think would be cool. Maybe the top 3 will be like more so the ones that I'm really wanting, but pretty much all the other ones are out of order. I thought I'd start out with a doozy, one that maybe not a lot of people would agree with at all, but I would like to see a Hiya Manila. That's right, little boy Minya. I think it would be cool too if they maybe put him in like a 2-pack with Goji from Son of Godzilla, or they put him in a 2-pack with Gabara. I think Manila coming with like maybe his smoke ring effect and like 2 extra hands, or literally even just like 2 different heads and the smoke ring effect. I really want a smoke ring effect. I know Hiya, kind of like SHMA, doesn't do a whole lot of beam effects and stuff like that outside of like hands maybe as accessories, but I'm thinking all out. I'm thinking going all out, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to add effects pieces and stuff that I'd like to see, even though it's probably not realistic, to what Hiya would actually include. Maybe even also as an accessory they can include, like, the baby prop of him when he gets booted out of his egg in Son of Godzilla and he just looks like an ugly little, weird little puppet guy. That would be pretty cool too, though, if they could include that in some kind of way. I don't know. Maybe they could include that with the Son of Godzilla Goju if they ever do that. Next, Megalon. Giant cockroach dude. Awesome. Just super cool. I would really like to see that because SHMA hasn't even taken a crack at a Megalon, and he's such a cool looking kaiju in a really cool late Showa era Godzilla romp. And I think that would be just so cool to see and have in the collection. I mean, there's so many dynamic poses you get that guy in. You could also give him some laser beam effects too if you wanted, and I would be all over that. I would think that would be very cool if they did that. Next up is Kumonga. Kumonga is definitely a bigger scale figure that I think would be so cool to have because, you know, SHMA hasn't done it, so I think Hiya taking a crack at that when they start Showa figures, if they do, would be so cool. It would really fill out the shelf. You could also just do so many different poses with that figure, I feel like. I think people are just thinking like, oh, he's like a crawling spider kaiju, but it's like, man, you could do a lot of dynamic things in a setting with other Hiya figures, SHMA figures. I think that would be so cool. Again, would also go really cool with a Manila figure. So, I'd really like to see that. And you can include different colored eye accessories if you wanted to. They could include like that little spike thing that he uses to prick his opponents, and then maybe like a web shooting effect. That would be really cool. I'd really dig that. Next we got Rodan from their debut film, Rodan, from '56, I believe. And I have always loved this Rodan design. I think it is one of the best Rodan designs, next to some of the more modern Rodan appearances. Like, you know, I really like Rodan's appearance in Final Wars. I like Rodan's appearance in the Heisei era. And I like Rodan's appearance in the Monsterverse, too. I think Rodan has had a great string of cool-looking appearances, much like a lot of his peers, or her peers, depending on what Rodan it is. But I really dig the debut appearance of Rodan, and I think that would make for an awesome Hiya figure. In terms of accessories, I don't even really know what you can include. I don't even know if you would really need to include any accessories with this figure. I guess maybe the baby Rodan hatching would be pretty cool. Or, you know what, I guess you could do this. I think this is a far shot. I think this is maybe asking too much, expecting too much. But I'm a big fan of the original Mega Nulon design from that OG Rodan movie. A Rodan 2-pack with that Mega Nulon would be so cool, but I do not think Hiya would do that in a million years. I don't even think SHMA would touch that. I just don't think there's like a huge fan base for something like that. But if you put it with the Rodan, you could get people to get it that way. And I would. I would be all over that. I would love that. But I don't really see that as a possibility. So I'll take the Rodan if I could at least get that original solo movie Rodan appearance in figure form. Next up, we got the Kamakura. I just think this would make for a great Hiya figure, and you could buy duplicates of this figure too. You could have 3 of them, you know, surrounding Manila, fighting Godzilla, fighting Kumonga, whatever you really want to do. The reason why I didn't include when mentioning Manila in this wish list as having a 2-pack relationship with the Kamakura is because I think it would make sense for more people to want to buy multiple Kamakuras. I think that'd be really annoying if they included the Manila with the Kamakuras, because then you'd have to buy, like, 3 other Manilas with the Kamakuras, and that price is also going to hurt too. So I figured, if they did do a Hiya Kamakuras, I'd really prefer if it was just solo. Accessory-wise, I don't know if you can include any accessories, except for maybe the Manila egg. That would be cool. I would like that. Something else I'd really like to see. I would like to see a SHOWA Hidora. I mentioned Hidora in my other Hiya Top 10 wish list of figures I am hoping Hiya will do from the Millennium era, Reiwa era, Heisei era, whatever. Kind of more their bread and butter right now of what the company is doing for the Godzilla line. And I was thinking a Final Wars Hidora would be really, really cool, but I want the OG SHOWA Hidora. I think that would be so, so cool. There's a couple different things you could probably do with that figure accessory-wise, or really, you could just include it by itself, and honestly, that would be okay with me. I'd be fine with that, as long as I get a Hidora in my collection. With that articulation, with that scaling, with the proportions, with the paint applications that I know that Hiya would deliver on, that would be awesome. Next, then, it would be Titanosaurus. Titanosaurus, I feel, is a heavily underutilized character in the Godzilla franchise. When it comes to everything, Titanosaurus is barely in any live-action material. Titanosaurus is in one live-action film from the Showa era. Didn't get an opportunity in the Heisei era, didn't get an opportunity even in Final Wars. Titanosaurus, I just feel like, does not get as much merch as, say, Hidora, Anguirus, Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, King Ghidorah, Mothra. So I'd really like to see some more Titanosaurus love. And SHMA has also not touched the Titanosaurus figures, so I'd love to see, if Hiya does do show figures, I'd love to see Titanosaurus. That figure, you could just include some, different hands or something like that. My final 3 figures that I think would be really interesting but are far shots from happening. I really doubt that we will ever see any of these characters be made if they do Showa figures, because they're probably going to want to round out all the different Godzillas and then all the different main characters of the Showa era. They're probably going to hit up Mechagodzilla first, they're probably going to hit up Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah. They're probably going to hit a lot of the main Showa mainstays, so I really doubt that these figures will be made, but I'd buy them day one. Pre-order them day one. I would be so stoked to get any of these on the list, but these 3 specifically from Hiya. And to start with, Baragon from the Showa era. I just love that guy. I also included a Baragon from GMK on my last Hiya wish list, and the Showa Baragon would be so cool. You can include an extra head scan with the ears over the face, when he's digging. A beam effect would be cool. Some different hands would be cool. I'd love to be able to get this guy into a crawling form, the standing form. I just think that would be so awesome. One of my favorite Showa era kaiju. That just would be so, so cool. I'd love to see that. My other favorite Showa era kaiju I would love to see is Gorosaurus. I think that would be so awesome to see. I just have an affection for Gorosaurus. I don't know why. He's just a cool guy. He's just a dinosaur, I don't even think you could really include a whole lot of accessories. Maybe some hand pieces, some claw action going on. And then the final one that I really don't think is going to see the light of day from Hiya or SHMA anytime soon, maybe ever, I don't know, would be Baran. I think that would be so awesome. Again, this is a flying kaiju, this is a crawling kaiju, this is a walking kaiju. You can do so much with this figure. I think the paints on this, the articulation, just the look of this figure would be immensely interesting for me to see. I would love to see how they would do it. I just would enjoy the hell out of that figure. That the prospect of that ever happening is just immensely exciting to me. I don't even think he's got a particularly great solo film. I think both versions of his movie are kind of whatever, but he's just such a cool design. He's overlooked so much, just like Titanosaurus, but maybe even more so. But he's got his fan base, like any of the kaiju in this list, and I just think it would be so cool to see that. Now, there are obviously other kaiju that I could have included on this list, like Jet Jaguar, King Caesar, Ebirah, and there are also a lot of deep cut characters I would have loved to include on this list, but I just felt they were just way too far-fetched. Like any of the Showa King Kong iterations, I just don't think Hiya could afford that. I don't even think they would attempt to do that. There's no SHMA King Kongs, either no Mechi Kongs. I mean, any of the Showa King Kong iterations or Mechanic Kong, I would love to get my hands on. Frankenstein from Baragon versus Frankenstein, I would love that. That would be so cool, but again, I just don't see that happening. Meguma, that's another really crazy deep cut Showa kaiju that I don't think is ever going to get made by SHMA or Hiya, but I'd love to see that too. But yeah, there were a lot that I did not include because I just figured that they're probably going to do them, or they're just not on the top of my list. Or, in the case of the King Kongs, I just don't think at all that they're even going to make them, so I just found them to be way too far-fetched to even include. Yeah, that is my list. Let me know down below which were your favorites that I included on the list, which Showa-era kaiju or characters do you wish I would have included on the list, who are some characters you'd like to see them include in the Hiya Godzilla line if they do Showa figures. Let me know down below. Comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff really helps the algorithm, push me around to different people, gets my channel seen. I guess there's only really one thing left to say, and that is, Bonius out.